All right, guys, it is that time again. Welcome to Gritsville, USA, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I am your host, Christian Harvey. We are here live, March 6th, this Thursday. Sorry, I'm a little bit under the weather right now, but we're going to get through the show. I've all the other great hosts at IE Sports Radio. I've seen them go push through the show, which inspired me to do so. So I'm excited to still be with you guys. We're going to get this show rolling. We're going to be talking Pistons, Red Wings. We're also going to be doing college basketball roundup part 3. There has been some movement and some standings with the men's college teams. And then we're going to finish off like how this show started. We are going to be talking some Lions. We have a free agency preview coming up since free agency does start next week. And then a potential new trade candidate not named Myles Garrett is now available on the market, but we will talk about that towards the end of the show. Again, super excited to be with you guys tonight. You guys are watching Gritsville USA right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We're going to be back after this.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clinking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
All right, guys, we are back. Welcome back to Gritsville, USA, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Once again, my name is Christian Harvey. I am the host of your lovely show regarding all things Michigan and Detroit sports. Super glad to be with you guys. We were on previously, actually this past Sunday, very special Sunday night edition of Gritsville, USA. After we had to postpone last week, Thursday, due to work-related reasons, but I'm super glad to still be with you guys tonight, even as I'm not feeling the greatest, but, still wanted to come on air and talk with you guys for a bit of time, for as much as I'm able to. Trust me, I'm sweating here right now, but besides that, give us a follow on X, Twitter, whatever you call it, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube at IE Sports Radio. There you'll find my show, as long as all the other many great shows we have across the country right now. And if you want to follow me, you can follow me at Gritsville_IESR on X or Twitter. You have my personal handle there as well, as I talk about things beyond sports as well. And hey, if you guys are a supporter of this show, go to this link right here at the bottom or go to Spreaker.com. Just search up Gritsville USA. Help support the show for $5 a month. It'll help a long way. But real quick, before we get into the show tonight, I just wanted to take just a quick minute and remember the life of Andy Isaac. He, for those in Detroit sports that are aware, just mega social media star in the world of Detroit. He passed away this morning after a lifelong battle with Hodgkin's lymphoma. About a couple weeks ago, he made a post on Twitter just saying that, he felt like his time was there. It has come as he went into hospice care and, just kind of preparing for just the end of the road, essentially. But for those that know Andy Isaac, he was somebody that was always bringing just joy across social media. Like I tweeted this out earlier, just that in a world that's not so kind, even with how sports fans can get, Andy always had that kindness, even against Bears fans, because for those that know him, his whole thing was fuck the Bears always. So even towards Bears fans, he always had that kindness to him. He made everybody laugh. And the great thing about him, I never met the guy, but this is just the aura he had about him. He made everybody feel like his friend. No matter who you were, never had to meet him, but just his presence alone was enough just to bring so much light into the world, especially in the world of Detroit sports. So just wanted to take a minute, remember the life of Andy. And as always, fatter day forever and fuck the Bears. All right, guys. Now we're going to start the show with talking about the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons last night, they went on their second game in the LA road trip, or West Coast trip. They played against the Clippers last night. They lost the game. It was pretty close throughout, but man, did James Harden just kind of go ballistic last night. James Harden for the Clippers went off for about 50 points. Not about, exactly 50 points. And it was just kind of a rough go around. I mean, Kate Cunningham had a great game. They were coming off the game against Utah, in which they won that, the first of 4 on the West Coast. But last night it wasn't in the cards. And for those that remember my show on Sunday when I had talked about, the rest of the outlook for the month of March for the Pistons, this was a game that it kind of had up in the air. There's another game on the West Coast that I will think it's a loss. I'll talk about that one in a bit. But the Clippers game was like, and depending on if they have guys healthy, we'll see how it goes. Obviously, didn't go the Pistons' way. It's fine. I'm not tripping out about it. They're 5 games above Miami right now. They still have the 6th seed. Miami has the 7th seed. They're 5 games up. As long as we can avoid the play-in, I'm all great. And I feel like it would have to take a lot more than just losing a game against the Clippers for us to go any further, slide down further than 6. I would still love to make it up to 5th or even 4th. But hey, I think right now being in the 6th seed would have us matched up against the New York Knicks, which I think between the 3 teams above us, that being the Knicks, the Pacers, and the Bucks, I think we do match up against the Knicks better. But once we kind of get more clarity in the playoff picture, we'll talk about that way more. But yes, the Pistons did lose last night on the West Coast. And it wasn't just that. It was mostly, did the Clippers expose a weakness for the Pistons? Everybody knows at this point that the Pistons are a postseason team. There's no doubt about it. They are going to be there. But last night they did something different against Detroit, which really had them struggling. And the Clippers, they were centered on forcing Detroit to face set defense in the half court. I'm not an X's and O's guy. I made that known before. I kind of had to look into, okay, so what does this mean? Like, basically, it was just how quickly the Clippers had their defense set. So the Pistons are pretty good in transition. Last night they had basically no transitional points last night, which was something that the Pistons do kind of thrive on. The Clippers quickly executed their defensive scheme to get into the half court, and they just did a better job of protecting the ball. And then just even kind of outside of that, I mean, you allow James Harden to look like he was James Harden of 10 years ago, basically. Just a force to be reckoned with. I mean, like I said, Cade had a great game. He finished with 37 points. He had 10 assists. Dennis Schroeder had 20 points, I believe. No, he had 21. My fault. Again, we'll see how much this is going to be a potential issue. Maybe this was just something that the Pistons really didn't have, like, in front of them. We'll see how JB Bickerstaff readjusts. They now have film as to what the Clippers did against them. So we'll see what happens. Thank you, Brian, so much for tuning in. Don't get me wrong. I am still very proud of the Pistons. Like, I explained this on Sunday. The Pistons right now are exactly what the Tigers were when they made their postseason run last season. It was very unexpected, and you were just having fun with it. By no means did I think the Tigers were going to make it to the World Series. I didn't think that they were going to make it past the wild card, and they took it to a Game 5 in the ALDS, and, just things didn't go our way in that Game 5. They had a couple chances before, and I believe in Game 4 and even Game 3 that they could have finished the series. It just didn't happen. Or Game 4, yeah, just didn't happen that way. But I still had fun with that season. I wasn't even butthurt about it. I'm like, hey, I didn't expect us to be playing October baseball, but here we were. And then in relation to the Pistons, my prediction for them before the season started was, okay, at least try and get the 9th and 10th seed and at least try and make the play-in. I wasn't expecting them to be currently, if the season were to end today, locked in a playoff spot. I think the play-in for the NBA is stupid. I think it's the stupidest shit they could have done. And the NBA is doing a lot of stupid shit right now. But I always thought the play-in was dumb. I think it should just be like, okay, we don't need to have the 9th and 10th seed involved in their own little mini tournament before, the main playoffs go. It is what it is. But I was projecting the Pistons for that. Now they are in a bona fide playoff spot. They don't have to worry about being a potential 7th seed getting eliminated by whoever's in the 9th or 10th spot and missing the playoffs. They are a 6th seed. And even then, my only expectation for the Pistons now, because yes, my expectations did have to upgrade now after seeing how well they were doing. My expectation is to at least win a couple playoff games. I'm not really expecting you to win a round. Because they're still a young team. They have a great veteran presence, which I think is helping the team, but they're still young. They definitely are overperforming, way overperforming what anybody had expected from them. And yes, they are a scary team to face against. Like, if you take out the Denver game from a week ago, I mean, it's not like the Clippers blew out the Pistons. The Pistons still kept it close. I think it was like 121 to 115. Like, it was still a pretty close game. The Pistons will readjust from what the Clippers did to them. I have no doubt about it. JB Bickerstaff, I think, is definitely the top candidate for Coach of the Year. I'm going to be straight up honest about that. If he doesn't win Coach of the Year, the NBA awards are a sham because this is unreal from this Pistons team. I had talked about before other teams having great transitional one-season turnarounds. I mean, I talked about the Boston Celtics in the late 2000s when they traded for Kevin Garnett, traded for Ray Allen, they had a healthy Paul Pierce, and they went from having a terrible season to winning the NBA Finals the next. And I'm not saying the Pistons are going to win the Finals, but damn, they're coming off a 14-win season where in that they had a 28-game losing streak, and look at what they're doing now. And what did you really get? Your biggest upgrade was probably, to be honest, just head coach. Monty Williams was a disaster. Your biggest upgrade was head coach. You brought in Tobias Harris. You brought in Malik Beasley. You brought in Tim Hardaway Jr. And Harris and Hardaway, they're holding it down. Malik Beasley's been, other than Cade, he's been the MVP of this team, in my honest opinion. But we didn't have like a megastar coming here and turning it around. It's just the thing in Detroit sports right now. It was just a big culture change. And yeah, Brian, I got to go back and watch your show. Last night was just busy with work, but yeah, I'm going to check in that. But that's funny that you did mention the 08 turnaround last night. I'll have to check that out after tonight's show. But yes, Pistons, no matter what happens, I just want them to win a couple playoff games. It would be cool if they win a series. I'm not expecting it, but I'm just going to have fun with it. That's what this Piston season is. It's just fun. With fun, however, comes great expectations next year because I have high expectations for the Tigers this year. So we're going to see how that goes for sure. Now, what do we have left for the Pistons on this West Coast road trip? So they're off tonight, they're off tomorrow, and they're going to be up against the Warriors in, where are they at now? Is it San Francisco or Oakland? I don't remember. They'll be in the Bay Area on Saturday. Up against the Warriors, Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, and crew before the next day heading up to Portland to finish the West Coast road trip. If they can at least split that, I'll be happy. The Blazers game, in my opinion, there's no excuse to losing that one. Zero excuse to losing the Blazers game. The Warriors, now, again, for those that watched Sunday, this was one that I chalked up to a loss. The Warriors right now, after they made some roster moves, they are all systems go. Steph Curry is playing out of his mind right now. Again, I've seen crazier things happen, but I don't really peg Saturday as a win, and that's all right. I'm not going to trip over it. I knew that this West Coast trip had the potential of being a split. It's just there's no excuse to them losing against the Trailblazers. They're fighting against good teams. They're winning against good teams. Like they beat Boston, they beat the Clippers the first time around when they were at LCA, and they're doing a great job at beating the bad teams. And I expect that to be continuing. I expect them to beat the Blazers. After that, I mean, we got a back-to-back against the Wizards in Detroit. March is looking fine. We can afford a Clippers and a Warriors loss. We really can. So again, I'm not tripping over it. I think everything will be fine tomorrow. Next up, we're going to talk about a team that really truly is the bane of my existence. Like I don't know what to make of them anymore. And for those that can already tell by the color change, we are going to be talking about the Detroit Red Wings. The Red Wings are playing right now currently. They are playing against the Utah Hockey Club. I hate this so much. And oh my God. I checked like 2 minutes ago, and the score was still 2-2. I just look now, and now the score is 4-2 in favor of Utah, which brings up greatly my next segment. I'm glad that I didn't have to do another reverse thing, but I can now talk about it. The Red Wings are in a free fall right now. And I kind of figured at some point the shit was going to hit the fan with them. I knew that a lot of the winning was kind of a little too good to be true. And it's really shown itself the last few games. Obviously, Sunday, I had talked about the games against Columbus, the one at LCA, and then the Stadium Series game at the Buckeye Stadium. Terrible performances all around. While yes, I can acknowledge that the Stadium Series game, I felt like they were robbed in that one towards the end, or at least robbed of a chance. Let me rephrase: they were robbed of a chance. The win wasn't taken from them; they were robbed of a chance. But then on Tuesday, back at LCA against Carolina, and they lost that one 2-1. That's 3 straight, and now we're currently looking at 4 straight in the face, and the schedule doesn't get easier. I mean, look at what's ahead now for them. After tonight, they're up against the Capitals. They're up against the Senators. Then you have Buffalo, Carolina again, then Vegas, the Capitals again, Vegas again, Utah, Colorado, Ottawa again, and then Boston to finish out the month of March. Currently right now, because since you decided to lose to Carolina the other night, they are no longer in the playoff spot. In fact, 2 teams are now ahead of them in the playoff spot. One of them being a team you're going to be facing twice more this month in Ottawa, and then the New York Rangers. They're in free fall. It's just, I think it's wraps. It was cute. It was cute to think about playoffs, but things don't last forever, you know. I don't expect a massive turnaround because here's the thing also. The NHL trade deadline is tomorrow, and Yzerman isn't going to do shit. Oh, but he did get a 4th round pick yesterday, so that's cool. I've officially lost all faith in Steve Yzerman, the general manager. I don't think he is capable of doing this job. I think he has no idea what he's doing. You had an opportunity to make a move before things really went to shit, because now here's the thing. You're definitely not going to make a move now. Todd McClellan earlier this week, apparently he told his players, don't expect the cavalry to come, basically meaning we're not getting help. And he wouldn't say that if he didn't have a conversation with Steve Yzerman about it. So I think everybody's on the same page that no help is coming. You guys are screwed this season. Thanks for trying. We'll see you again next year. Which just absolutely sucks. Because this team was primed to do something. If they would have just made a move sooner, I feel like great things could have happened. And it just didn't. And that's what sucks. I was very excited when the Wings kept winning for obvious reasons. It was cool to keep seeing LCA start to get more packed out. I mean, you're looking at the Pistons games. Like, LCA is starting to sell out for the Pistons now, from what I hear. And then with the Wings, you were starting to see it be more filled. And then it's just, the season's just done. I have no confidence that Steve Yzerman is going to do anything. And it's just disastrous. I don't know how many more years we can take of this. And it's going to be this. I feel like it's going to be the same thing this offseason. Yzerman's just going to be playing the shit like we're going to wait for Danielson to come up. We're going to be waiting for this and so. And it's like, when are we going to spend some money? When are we going to go get actual players? How much more of this are you going to allow? And, Chris Ilitch isn't going to fire the Golden Boys. So we're kind of stuck with this. This really is, in my opinion, it is tarnishing Steve Yzerman's legacy with the Red Wings. It is starting to seep through in people's consciousness of who he was as a player here. It definitely is with mine. I'm starting to not be able to separate Steve the player and Steve the GM. And that's becoming a problem. Because Steve the player, one of the greatest of all time, just phenomenal legend in Detroit, but now you're just allowing yourself to tarnish everything that you have done prior. And it sucks. He's not going to do anything tomorrow. I will legitimately be jaw on the floor, stunned if Steve makes a move. I'm not seeing it. It's just not going to happen. Which sucks. I'm kind of sad about it, but what are you going to do about it? All right. We are going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we are going to be doing college basketball roundup part 3. Super excited to see where the teams are now. Super excited to share with you where they are now. Ralph, thank you so much for tuning in. Always love watching the Injury Report when I get a chance to. Super thankful for you, Ralph. Thank you so much for tuning in. But once again, you guys are watching Gritsville, USA, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be back after this.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at @sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the iSports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right, guys, welcome back to Gritsville, USA, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Right now, we are going to be doing our college basketball roundup. We are approaching March Madness. March Madness should be kicking up, I believe. Should be next week, if I'm not mistaken. Is it next week? I think it is. I could be wrong. But as before, we have been checking in on the men's teams in the state of Michigan, seeing how they're doing. We have the teams in the Horizon League, teams in the MAC, and then the two obvious ones in the Big Ten. And as always, we are going to start off with the team it's in the Horizon. The first ones being the Detroit Mercy Titans, who are currently sitting at 8-23 and 4-15 in the Horizon League. Not much to say. Their season's over. Good luck next year. Next one, we have the Oakland Golden Grizzlies at 15-17, 11-9 in the Horizon. I think that's good enough for them to be, I think, 6th in the Horizon right now. Basically, season's over. We'll try again next year. Cool. All right. Now, the next ones were the fun ones that I was having pretty much fun with because for majority of the year, they've been pretty close-knit. They've been pretty tight. But we do now have some separation between these teams in the MAC conference. Super exciting stuff. First off, we got the Central Michigan Chippewas, who are sitting at 14-16 and with a 7-10 MAC record. That's good enough for 10th in the MAC. Just 1-1 on their last matchup, so that's good. Central Michigan has not been doing that well in the MAC. Next up, you got the Western Michigan Broncos, who are 11-19 and 8-9 in the MAC. So worse overall record than Central Michigan, but one game better conference-wise. So good on Western Michigan there. At least they're performing in MAC play. And then we finally have a clear-cut leading team right now between these three, and those are the Eastern Michigan Eagles, who are sitting at 16-14 overall and 9-8 in the MAC. They are currently sitting 5th in the MAC. No shot at probably winning the MAC tournament, which is good. It's all cool, it's all cool. But because Akron right now, they got a 16-1 record in the MAC, so yoinks. Right now, the Big Ten teams. The Michigan Wolverines, they are sitting at 22-8, 14-5 in the Big Ten. Losers of their last 2 games. Pretty ugly losses against Illinois and Maryland at home, of all places. The Illinois game was absolutely egregious. They lost 93-73 in that one. And then a loss against Maryland last night, if I'm not mistaken, 71-65. Halftime, the guard play with U of M right now is utterly terrible. They did well enough this year to where, yes, they are going to make the tournament, regardless of whatever happens at the Big Ten tournament. But they will be making March Madness. I would be shocked if they didn't, but, what you going to do? Right now, we have our first place team in the Big Ten, the Michigan State Spartans, at 24-5 and a 15-3 Big Ten record. Yeah, they are probably going to be the prime team to be winning the Big Ten, although right now they are up against Iowa and they are down by 1, but there is 10 minutes left in the second half. So we'll see. And between these two teams, Michigan and the Spartans, last game of the season is coming up on Sunday. And what would you have it? They are facing each other one last time, this time in East Lansing. I could have done a big preview for that game. I don't feel like there's a need to because there's absolutely no shot, in my opinion, that Michigan will be winning that game. Michigan just can't stop turning the ball over. Their guard play is non-existent. You shut down Goldine and Wolf, I mean, you got the rest of the team on lock. Michigan State by 20. That's all I'm going to say with that one. But no, on the real, though, yes, they are playing one more time this Sunday at East Lansing at the Breslin Center. I'm hoping it's going to be a better game than how the last one was. I mean, Michigan State kind of ran it away with there at the end, but Michigan, like I said, they're going to be in the tournament. Can't imagine what slot they're going to be in. Michigan State should be one of those higher-ended seeds, but this is just going to be one of those tournaments where I think no matter what team, no team in the Big Ten is going to, I think, do well. Michigan State will get bounced earlier than people think they should be. Michigan, I think, is going to be a first-round exit at this point. There's just not a good team, and I don't know how well they're going to go up against any team outside of the Big Ten. I think no matter who they're up against, I think that is going to be an upset watch game just right off the rip. And that's fine. Michigan, this is your first year under Dusty May. You got plenty of time to, bring your own recruits in, establish your culture. As long as you don't turn into Juwan Howard, you're going to be fine. It's just this year isn't Michigan's year. Again, Michigan is another team that overperformed. Because Michigan was also, I wasn't expecting Michigan to make the tournament, let alone be second in the Big Ten right now. And it is what it is. Michigan State as far as Sparty goes, depends honestly what happens tonight. If they lose against Iowa, yikes, I don't think that's going to bode well because I don't think Iowa's that good of a team, if I'm not mistaken. Where's Iowa at? Let me check real quick. Yeah, Iowa is 6-12 in Big Ten play. So if Iowa wins, then you're just bracket watching at this point, this March Madness tournament. But hey, it is what it is. What you're going to do. That is our college basketball roundup part 3. We will be having one more. Once all conference tournament play comes to an end, we're going to check up on where these teams finished that. And we'll be checking in on the women's teams as well. I know we haven't been talking about the women's teams, but the next college basketball roundup, we will be talking about the women's college teams as well. We are going to take our last break here. When we come back, the rest of the show is going to be everybody's favorite, all Lions talk. I know we've gone a little bit without talking about them, but hey, the new league year is going to start next year. That is signaled by free agency. And like I said, another trade candidate is now out there. But once again, you guys are watching Gritsville USA right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be back after this.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Big Mike from Indie Sports Nation. Come hang out with me each and every Friday, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time, where we talk things Indiana sports. We talk Colts, Pacers, Fever, Indy Ignite, and we dive into the college scene as well. Boilermakers, Hoosiers, Irish, Bulldogs, and every school in between. And we don't stop there. We'll sprinkle in some NHRA and cover the IndyCar Series. From the turf to the hardwood to the track, we got you covered. Come hang out with your boy, Big Mike, each and every Friday, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Indie Sports Nation, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right, guys, welcome back to Gritsville, USA, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And yes, we are finally back to Lions Talk. We are here. We are going to start off this Lions segment with a quick Myles Garrett update because there was something rather interesting that did come out relating to Myles Garrett and the Detroit Lions. It was talked about during the draft combine that the Lions were apparently very active in trying to get Myles Garrett this past trade deadline. Kimberly Martin, she's with ESPN, I believe. She was talking about how the Lions were the most aggressive team in pursuing Myles Garrett and that they are believed to be in contact once again with Cleveland about Garrett, about a potential trade. Now, the first part I think was kind of corroborated to be true. We don't know how much about the second part is. But we do know that the Lions were being aggressive in trying to get Garrett, which I believe once the Browns were like, no, but you guys can have Zadarius Smith. I think that's when that trade happened, where we ended up getting Zadarius. As far as Myles Garrett in Cleveland goes, I don't think Myles Garrett changes his mind. I think he's going to leave Cleveland. And I saw Rich Eisen say this on the Rich Eisen show. They were going over a whole segment of the top 5 rumors that they heard at the draft or at the combine this past week. And his number one rumor that he heard is that Cleveland is currently true to their word that they are not trading him. However, it could be because, yes, you're obviously going to be getting draft compensation for him. It could be due to the fact that, I mean, let's be real. I think this draft, outside of maybe Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter, I mean, I think this is an absolute stinker of a draft. I don't think there's really anybody that's like eye-popping other than those two. This is something that could very well go past draft night because Cleveland, I think, likes their chances with the drafts coming up in the future. Which I think to me, it does make sense that, you know, one of the first round picks you're going to be getting could be attached to this draft. And this draft just really isn't speaking volumes to anybody. So I think that's what they're kind of waiting on. Because, again, I don't see Garrett suiting up for the Browns again. I just think the Browns are, well, first of all, they're just saying we're not going to trade him. Just to have teams still call them about it. And then just kind of leading them on until past the draft to like, okay, now we're open to, you know, trading them. Because let's say, you know, you're the Browns. You get Abdul Carter. What do you need Myles Garrett for? So that's the update with that. But the other trade candidate that is now out there, Trey Hendrickson of the Cincinnati Bengals, are now out and available for trade. The Bengals have granted him permission to go out and seek a trade. He has always been a favorite of mine for the Lions to try and target, to try and get. And I hope it happens. Outstanding edge rush player. Again, I'm not an X's and O's guy. I'm barely even a stats guy. I just know a good ball player when I see one. Trey Hendrickson lined up with Aiden Hutchinson. Man, I will happily take that if we can't land Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett is a pipe dream, but this whole Trey Hendrickson thing now, like it is here, it is in front of us. I would be super happy if we were able to land him. Like really happy with that. But we're gonna see what happens with that. Who knows? But all right, we are now going to be doing free agency preview. I'm gonna split this up into two parts. The free agents currently on our team and the ones that are just kind of league wide. Who are we looking at? Who are we targeting? We have quite a number of free agents this year. Quite a number. And I definitely do think, let's just get the obvious ones out the way. I think we need to sign Carlton Davis back. And I think we need Kevin Zeitler back. Zeitler's wife, actually, on social media, she does kind of the speaking for the both of them. She kind of hinted that, because last year, Zeitler was kind of contemplating retirement. I mean, he's up there in age. But his wife's like, nope, we're ready for another year. Year 14, I think she said. And I think the current belief is that maybe, we do get him back here in Detroit for one more year. He's not going to be re-signed to a big contract or anything. I think for him from now on until he decides to hang up the cleats is going to be a year-by-year basis. Carlton Davis, on the other hand, I can see a deal going somewhere in the mid-teens, high teens, maybe even low. I know I'm giving a pretty wide range, but I don't think he's going to cost too much. I mean, kind of an injury problem a little bit. Like, I get the whole jaw thing was kind of a freak accident, but a little injury prone. But he's still somebody that I would definitely welcome back in Detroit. And I think even he himself, I think, has the interest in wanting to come back. So he's a name I would definitely want back. Levi, now we're starting to get the first Brad Holmes draft picks out in free agency. We obviously re-signed Amon-Ra. But now we have Levi Onwuzurike as a free agent. We have Derek Barnes as a free agent. Melifonwu. They're out there now. And between those three, I realistically would like all three back. Derek Barnes, I think, was really starting to become something special until he had the injury he had. I don't remember what ended his season, but Derek Barnes, I think, and because of that injury, I think we would be able to get him back on the cheap. Melifonwu, I would like him back, but excuse me, but I'm not like attached. I love Iffy, special player, absolute dog, but again, pretty injury prone. And I think with some of the safety names out there, again, I'm not attached. And then Levi Onwuzurike, again, it took him a while to get started. But I wouldn't mind having him back because we do need D-line depth. And again, he's not going to be like commanding a big contract or anything. So I think we're going to be able to swing that, which I'll be pretty happy about. I'm not going to lie. The one name I absolutely want back, and it scares me because I know that the Jets and Aaron Glenn are interested in him. Tim Patrick. I think bringing Tim Patrick back would be absolutely huge for this team. I would more than welcome it. I love Tim Patrick. Just the way he was able to come back from just two injuries that he had that ended his season with Denver. The way that he came in, he embraced the culture. He showed up when we needed him to. He made the blocks he needed to make. He made the catches he needed to make. Absolute dog of a player that I would really, really want back here in Detroit. I'd be super happy with it. Super happy with it. And he's, of all the unrestricted free agents outside of Davis and Zeitler, he's number one on my list of who I want back in the Honolulu Blue. Tim Patrick, bring him back. I'm begging you. Just make it happen. and I think he would want to come back. But again, I know that the Jets were rumored to target him. Aaron Glenn obviously knows him from the time in Detroit, but bring Tim Patrick back. I'll be so happy. Dan Skipper, I think at this point, just out of mere principle, he'll be back. You have Khalil Dorsey. He also went down in the Bills game, the unfortunate Bills game where we lost like everybody, good and gone. Marcus Davenport, don't want him. John Kaminsky, don't see it. Al-Qadim Muhammad, I'd welcome it. Ezekiel Turner, no thanks. Allen Robinson, washed. Ben Neiman, I'd welcome it. Pat O'Connor, nah, depth. Kendall Vildor, I'd take it, despite what Detroit fans believe in him and what I used to. When I kind of got my head out of my ass about, the whole NFC Championship game debacle, I saw that, yeah, he did step in pretty well for Carlton Davis. He's not the shrub that people like to make him out to be because, again, he was the scapegoat for that game. I'd welcome it, but only for depth purposes. Like, you're going to be CB4, CB5. You're not going to be starting. Emmanuel Mosley, yeah, you're done, my guy. Michael Badgley, nope, we have Jake Bates, but thank you. Kyle Pecco, I don't know. Teddy Bridgewater, I'm pretty sure he's retiring again. Quan Alexander, that didn't work out. And then Jonah Williams, so that's that. And then as far as our restricted free agents go, the ones that they can sign with any team, but we have the right to match that contract. Craig Reynolds, Shane Zylstra, Awosika, Anthony Pittman, and Miles Adams. I'd love Craig Reynolds and Awosika back. Definitely would. And then exclusive rights free agents. Trevor Nawasaki, Michael Neese, Mitchell Agude, Connor Galvin. Trevor Nawasaki was a great player. I'd definitely take him back as well. Now, for players that who can we target? There's already one out there that I think should be, I want to say it should be the top of their list, but again, this is like signing Michael Davenport. You're signing a guy just praying that he stays healthy. And it would be who the LA Chargers just released, and that is Joey Bosa. I would love Bosa on this team, but I would love for a Bosa that can stay healthy and not miss more than half the season. So with that, I don't want to say it's almost like you should just resign Michael Davenport again at that point. Marcus Davenport, my apologies. Just not going to work out. I think Bosa would be great here. I don't love him. I don't love him. But when he's healthy, heck of a ball player. I just the injury thing freaks me out too much, and he's hurt way too much. Other edge rushers you have out there are Khalil Mack, Josh Sweat, Chase Young, Chauncey Golston, Azeez Ojulari, Derek Bennett. If I'm not mistaken, I even think Hassan Reddick is available again. But of all those names, the one that I've seen, and again, this was a rumor. We're just definitely in rumor mode now until Monday. I think Monday's the tampering window opening. Chase Young is a name that I keep seeing tied to Detroit. It doesn't bode well for me that the reason why Washington traded him and then why San Francisco didn't even bother to bring him back was because they just felt like the passion wasn't there. Now, if the Lions are in a position to think that they have the culture established to make a guy care about football again, then fine, by all means. I mean, he was second overall for a reason whenever he was drafted. I think that was back in 2020. So still a young player, so to speak. And he would fill a need. I don't think you just sign Chase Young and then you're satisfied with it. but he's definitely a name out there. Khalil Mack, he's a bit on the older side, but I do see him going back to a team that he was with before. I have seen rumors of him going back to Chicago. Josh Sweat of Philadelphia. Haven't heard much about what's going on with him, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a Philly reunion with that. As far as what other free agency goes, from what I'm seeing, there is a plethora of wide receivers out there. Let's say, because yes, I do love Tim Patrick. I still think you could upgrade a little bit. Tim Patrick could also go down to wide receiver 4, basically taking what was essentially Allen Robinson's spot. Khalif Raymond, yes, he was very much a part of the wide receiver core, but he was like a wide receiver 5, but he was still like a really good wide receiver 5. His thing isn't the return game, but I mean, as far as free agent wide receivers go, you have a lot of them. The supply, I think, is definitely outweighing the demand. So you kind of really have like a pick of the litter here as far, because you have your established starters currently in St. Brown and JMO. You're just basically looking for a wide receiver 3. If you don't bring Tim Patrick back, or you bring him back but are still looking, here are your options. Right off the rip, you have Chris Godwin. You have Devontae Adams, who just got released by the Jets. Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen, Marquise Brown. I actually saw that Christian Kirk was traded to Houston, so he's no longer an option, but not that I would want him here in Detroit. Tyler Lockett, Amari Cooper, DeAndre Hopkins. And the list goes on with names that you'll know, but names that aren't going to be like, wow, that like blows my mind that we got him. I've seen people. Stephon Diggs still has the talent. He is a bit of a diva, and he's definitely not wide receiver 1 anymore. But if he's willing to fully accept being a wide receiver 3, I'd welcome him in Detroit. I'm one of those people that would be. I know people would think I'm crazy, but I'd definitely be open to him being wide receiver 3. I would love Devontae Adams. I just don't see that happening. I think he's going to go to wherever his little butt buddy goes. Keenan Allen, I think he's going to go back to Chicago. Marquise Brown, I think we'll probably run it back with the Chiefs. Tyler Lockett would be nice, but I also think he's a little washed. But maybe he has something to prove. Maybe there's still a spring in his step, so we'll see. Amari Cooper, I think, would be pretty nice, but I don't see him landing here. DeAndre Hopkins, I think he's also washed as well. And then, like I said, there's just so many other names. I think, quite honestly, if you can't get Stephon Diggs or convince Devontae Adams to leave Aaron Rodgers and become like a wide receiver 3, you might as well just go with Tim Patrick again. Or maybe even, I don't know, because the draft isn't really a great receiver draft outside of Travis Hunter and the dude from Arizona. I mean, but there's names there. We'll see what Brad Holmes does. Running back, we're set. Tight end. Interestingly enough, at the combine, the Lions have been meeting with a lot of tight ends. I don't know what they're thinking there. Don't know what they're doing there. Found it interesting. But no really tight ends that would, I mean, let's not get anything twisted. Sam Laporta is tight end 1 no matter what. But if you're looking for somebody to take like the Brock Wright spot or whatever, you could bring Zach Ertz back, Mike Gesicki. Don't see any of those names happening here though. Offensive tackle, you're set. You got the best one in the whole league. You got Taylor Decker. If you want depth, I mean, bring back Dan Skipper. There's a couple other names out there, but they're there. Guard, like I said, Kevin Zeitler is still there. Christian Mahogany is going to be a guard of the future, but you got to get somebody there with them, and I think the Lions might be going for that in the draft. Because Christian Mahogany, I think he was the 5th or 6th round pick last year, and when he was able to finally play, I mean, he was phenomenal. I fully expect Hank Fraley to, whoever they get, whether it's free agency or the draft, Hank Fraley's going to get him into shape. Really nothing screaming my name as far as interior D-line goes. We went over edge rusher, linebackers. Saw that Bobby Wagner re-signed. Because what's his name is so hurt. Rodrigo. I don't know. We'll see what we do. You have names like Dre Greenlaw, Eric Kendricks, Levante David, Ernest Jones, Shaq Thompson out. I mean, nothing that I'm really screaming over. Again, you might as well just bring back Derek Barnes. Because no matter what he was one of those names that was kind of rumored to be coming back if we made a deep playoff run. So he'll be fully healthy by the time the season comes around. I think that will be good. Cornerback's an interesting one. Because, again, you lost Carlton, or you didn't lose him because you could very well resign Carlton Davis. But currently, your corners are Terrion Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw, your two rookies, your first and second round rookies from last year. I still think they need a veteran presence around them to get them more into shape, especially with Rakestraw. Rakestraw was hurt for like half the season. But he was drafted second round for a reason. Darius Slay was drafted in the second round, and it took him a couple years to get going. Slay is an interesting one because Philly released him. And when he was on the St. Brown podcast, he had mentioned he would love to be back with Philly, but also said he wouldn't mind going back to Detroit again. So that's a name to watch there. He said he wants to play one more year, but that he also wouldn't mind coming back to Detroit. So we'll see what happens with that one. I'd welcome it because I also think that'd be very great for Arnold and Rakestraw to have his veteran presence there. I think it helps having Carlton Davis there. But Slay, I mean, you're talking about, what is he, a two-time Super Bowl winner? Was he with, no, I don't think he was with, no, he was not with the Eagles their first Super Bowl, but Super Bowl winner, made it to the Super Bowl a couple years ago. But we all know what Philly's defense is. Top defense. He was a part of it. Wouldn't mind it, but I saw something on Twitter the other day, and I have to agree, the Lions are not a retirement home. So I'm not going to be butthurt if we don't get him back. You have DJ Reed with the Jets. He's a free agent as well. Then you also got Byron Murphy, Tre'Davious Ward, Kendall Fuller, Asante Samuel Jr. Again, I mean, Jordan Lewis is definitely not coming to Detroit. Again, another position where it's like the supply outweighs the demand. The Lions will definitely have their pick if they decide to get, Carlton Davis and then somebody else as well. They definitely have their pick. As far as safety goes, because like I said, Melifonwu is somebody we could re-sign, but I think that there are better options out there. I mean, you got Justin Reed, you got Julian Blackman. A name that I kept seeing around is from San Francisco. That's Talona Hufanga. He's a name that I've seen be kind of connected to Detroit a little bit of time. But then you also got Jeremy Chin, Justin Simmons. You could even bring Quandre Diggs if you really wanted to, but I still think they go young. Again, plenty of names out there. Again, I think if there's anybody you need to prioritize as to who we're going to target, I think even with Tim Patrick, you gotta get a wide receiver, and even with Carlton Davis, I think you gotta get another corner. As far as the edge rush goes, I would love Chase Young, but I don't think you're done there. But maybe you address that in the draft. But we'll see. Like I said, free agency starts next week. I'm actually very excited. We'll see what Brad and Dan do as the new league year starts. But wow, 1 hour in. This is definitely our shortest show on record. But I mean, you could probably hear it in my voice that I pushed through to get to the end, but we made it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Gritsville USA this Thursday. Next week, we will be doing hopefully a recap of what the Lions immediately do with free agency. We'll also be looking at Big Ten conference play. We'll check in with the Red Wings and the Pistons again. Who knows? Again, I'm praying for a miracle with the Wings tomorrow. And for those that were, waiting with bated breath, yes, the Wings did lose today. It is what it is. I don't care. Michigan State, they did take the lead back. They are going to win that game, so no worries to MSU there. But again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Remember that you can follow us anywhere on X, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube at IE Sports Radio, iesportsradio.com. There you'll find Gritsville USA and all the other great shows we got going on. And we're also wherever you find your podcast, whether that's on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Spreaker. And speaking of Spreaker, yes, we do have a supporters club there. If you're a fan of the show, please go ahead and check it out if you feel bled to, anything as you guys do. Not only supports myself, but supports IE Sports Radio. We got a big year coming up for us, so super excited to be a part of that. But yeah, thank you guys again so much for tuning in. Next week, we will be healthy. We will be better. And the show, super excited next week already. I can't wait to see what the Lions do. Because, yes, we will be having a little bit more Lions talk as the league year comes up. Because, free agency. Then we got the draft coming up. And we're going to ramp up more and more Tigers talk. I know you guys are probably thinking, oh, he didn't mention the Tigers. For good reason. Because once the regular season starts, every week Tigers are going to be the main story. But again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Once again, you guys have been watching Gritsville USA right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Everybody have a good night.